that have been used to explain a situation that is dementia. People have said, well, that person has gone mad, or they've lost their mind, or they've essentially lost it. Those words have been used. But let's start off with a definition of what dementia really is before we start to look at how then it presents. We'll start with you, Dr. Terry.
Yeah, thank you very much. Dementia, what every other person would refer to is memory loss, progressive memory loss, which is severe, to affect the functioning, the daily functioning, to affect one's career, and to affect one's operations. So like if you used to manage your home without much problems, then it starts affecting. We all forget depending on how many things we have to do. But for dementia, then it has to have been investigated and diagnosed. It is sad that in our setup, we tend to get patients with dementia when it's severe. When they start forgetting things, you'd find someone bought a kilo of meat, put it somewhere in the bedroom and forgot about it until it starts smelling is when they discover, oh, there was meat. Or maybe the children will come and ask, where is that stench coming from? Then they discover she placed the meat somewhere planning to cook it and forgot about it. Some people will have even lost money, they don't know where they placed it, and accuse other people of having stolen it. So it is a progressive memory loss. It will be caused by, we have different types. So there is the one which we can't find the cause, which is called Alzheimer's, named after the person who discovered it. There is one related to stroke, related to injury to the brain, of course, related to other neurocognitive disorders.
Okay.
Yes.
So all of these diseases, conditions, Alzheimer's, all of this, they are forms of dementia?
Yes, dementia is the blanket, it's the bigger term.
Okay.
And there are various types of dementia. And they can be caused by different things. Yes. So Alzheimer's dementia is one of them. Vascular dementia is the one related to stroke. There are others with difficult terms, like depending on what you would find in the biopsy of the brain. Yes.
Okay. How does this present, Monica? What would we see? And how would a person behave that would make us think that was something wrong?
Dr. Ari has shared many. For me, having been affected by the disease for over 20 years, we started seeing our mom forgetting where she's parked, her car, and severally, and we'd laugh over it. And we'd say, and then she would laugh over it. We worked together together in her businesses. So she could forget. She would go to the gym and forget what clothes she came with. Those were the signs. And then she avoided people because she was because she was knew something was not amiss. So she kept off friends. She just kept to her close family. So, but we didn't know. We didn't know what was going on. This is 2000.
Yeah. So here's a question where so you for a while you saw differences. Mom forgetting, she goes to the gym, she doesn't remember her clothes, where she parked, and all this. And when it starts, one would say, maybe I'm a choker, they're tired or something, and we dismiss it. But at what point then did it hit you? Did you have to go to hospital for diagnosis for you to know there's a problem, so that you start you start now giving the proper care that she needed? And at that point, just how long had it been?
We started seeing those signs as we explained. But 2003, she was fortunate enough, because I think it was becoming too frequent, the episodes. So she was taken to, she was actually had to go to an MRI. 2003. She was the fortunate ones. The fortunate one that were able to do those days. And her husband, who I'm caring for, our dad, he's the one who sat us down as a family and shared that heavy name. Your mom, the way those behaviors she's been having of late, is because she's got a disease that is terminal, and there's no cure for it. and it's going to be progressive. He actually shared the details of the disease, and all we need to do is to care for her. And she said it's Alzheimer's. That time I remember when she broke down, when he broke the news, I was just in tears. I mean, terminal, you just say it in cancer. This is, what is it going to look like? We were very naive. 2003, yes.
What causes this dementia that we speak of? And we assume that it's old age only, that things start to wear off as you get older. But what causes it, Dr. Terry?
Okay, maybe even before I go to the cause, I can share an example of a close relative, a male this time. And like the question you asked, I don't have their permission. They might even be watching. So I will not mention who they are, but they are dear to me. So it could be like, like for him, he reversed his car. You know, you start, somebody who would drive well, a pickup, reverses on a child. And you wake up, oh, there's something wrong. This man used to concentrate. What is happening? And then depending on what they used to do, when they discover they are forgetting, then they will tell you, yes, I can remember you. But the next second, they'll ask you a question. So, who are you? And they say they remember you. So it is not easy to accept that you forget. And depending on what you used to do, and if you're a high functioning person, you would cover up. So you will say, yes, I remember you. What is my name? Then anasema sina kujua tu. So back to causes, I said there are various causes. So Alzheimer's, we can't find the cause. We'll do an MRI or a CT scan of the brain and see the brain is shrinking. The cause, those who have uncontrolled blood pressure, diabetes, at least we have an idea. Those who have another physical illness, even substances. There are some drugs, even long-term conditions like the prostate, there are some drugs which affect memory. And there are some drugs people tend to use a lot, benzodiazepines, things like diazepam or ile wanasema mchele inawekewa watu wanalala. They also affect memory on the long term. Alcohol, can cause dementia, and many people don't realize that, especially when you've reached the stage of addiction. General physical conditions like systemic diseases like SLE, lupus. People know about lupus, thyroid disease. So various diseases can also affect the brain and cause dementia. HIV. You know, Kenyans are forgetting where we were in 80s, that when we didn't have the antiretrovirus, we would see people in the terminal end stage severe disease of HIV. So we had what we called encephalopathy. It's now coming back because people are not as taking it as serious as they did then, because the media is also not talking about it. So you can have HIV causing dementia, but of course there'll be other associated symptoms. Syphilis. These days there's cure for syphilis, but you see in men it can go undiagnosed for many years. So depending on where you are and whether you're accessing treatment. So it could even be injury. You get a road accident, brain injury, and you develop this progressive memory loss. But that one, at least you can associate it to the injury. This other one, you can associate it to uncontrolled blood pressure, and you can associate it to people with diseases like SLE, lupus. They are explained that with time it might progress and even affect the brain. Cancers, you could have a cancer in the stomach, it goes to the brain, or from another part, even from the bones, it goes to the brain. Breast cancer can also, in the later stages, go to the brain. So there are various causes. Yes.
Okay.
Now, here's a question where most of the time it has happened, we've gone to hospital, and there is the burden of the patient themselves accepting it is a problem. And most of the time you find someone just becomes angry because they're being associated with stereotypes that do exist to you, amekuwa mwenda wazimu and whatnot. So in terms of a family that is taking care of the patient as caregivers, how do we go about it? Because you say you have taken care of mom. How do we go about it so that we give this patient the best care there is, and also so that they do not feel as though their condition will make them feel isolated from the society?
Yes, so And unfortunately, mom is no more. Mom passed on 18 years ago this month. So currently I'm caring for our dad. How do we care? I think because of the agitation, one of the things they know, as Dr. Ria said, they know there's something not right with their brain. They know these were high functional people. They were teachers, they were mothers, they were business people. And they just realized, wow, there's something not adding up in myself. So they get into different realities. They'll start saying, I want to go home, and this is their home. Get into that reality with them. Do not argue with them. Do not correct them. Tell them now, maybe distract them. In the evenings, afternoons is when we call sundown. They sound down a lot. It's the when they somehow they become showing more symptoms of change of behavior. They'll be unpacking, and it's always about going home. That's why you'll always find in social medias that somebody is lost. There's been announced because they left at the gate in their process of going, and then they left maybe in Buruburu. They were found in Syokimau walking. So it's you getting to their reality. It's you getting and not agitating them and accepting. And initially it's hard for the family. This was your mother, and you knew what she was capable of doing. So, and what she was doing for you. So even accepting is a difficult person. It's a difficult thing. Most families do not go, especially the gentlemen in the family. They find it difficult, they avoid, because maybe the mom is thinking they are their brothers instead of their sons. Going home and finding your mother telling you, hey, where have you been? How is your mom? And your mom died many years ago, and he thinks you are the son, and you're thinking this is your mother is thinking this is the brother. So most gentlemen, they keep off. So be in their space. I think that is the best thing, and love on them. Can
it be temporary? Dementia onset, can it be temporary and then just phases and disappears?
Yes, depending on the cause.
Okay.
So if it was stroke, for example, it resolves over time, depending on how severe it was and which part of the brain it has affected. So with physio and control of the blood pressure, some of them could improve. If it's an injury, you expect some healing over some years, depending again on the severity and which part of the brain is injured. But sadly, some types like Alzheimer's, so like things like infections like HIV, if you increase the CD4 count and lower the viral load, then their memory could improve. But when it comes to Alzheimer's, which we actually do not know the cause, then the sad thing is, even for us doctors, we have to sit with the family and tell them that now you need to prepare for long-term caregiving, that the medication we have are going to reduce the speed, they are not curing. And you see, for somebody who understands, like you and me, if you got the diagnosis and you're being told, now prepare, that it is going to be worse, then you see what you have watched in TV, what you have heard, and you imagine, so in 10 years, I will not be able to take care of myself. So in 10 years, I will not know who I am. So for those who are intelligent and they are high functioning, it's usually very difficult for them. And even for us, when you have a family member with, let's say, Alzheimer's disease, then you start wondering. I've heard family members say, so how do I know? How do we know who else will be affected? Because sometimes Alzheimer's disease can run in the family. So there is all that anxiety. And you see, once it's severe, the person might not have now know that they are forgetting and they are in peace. But the people around them will actually be the ones suffering because this person will need 24 caregiving. They go to the extent of forgetting to eat. Or they eat and ask, how come you're not serving me breakfast? How come you're not giving me lunch? Or like she said, they will say, I want to go home. So long-term memory is usually the last to go. So because the very intelligent ones will overcompensate by telling you stories of their childhood. So every time you meet them, they'll tell you how they used to go to primary school, who was their teacher, how they struggled with school fees, but they don't talk about yesterday. They don't talk about last year. So because the old memories are usually the last to go. They will not forget their first language, depending on where they grew up. They could forget English if it was a second language, but their first language will be the last to go. And likewise, the childhood family members would be the last to be forgotten. Yes.
You mentioned something about medication and that it lowers the speed. What does that mean?
So, if you are to compare someone who is on medication and one who is not, the one without medication will progress very fast. So in 5 years, if you compare, one will be worse off than the other. So the one without medication will be worse off than the other. So that is what I mean by reducing the speed of the progression. They will still worsen, but not at the same speed. Yes.
Yeah.
Even the new treatments we are having, they are still on trial. Like one of my patients who went to check on the treatment being done at Johns Hopkins, but because the stage was severe, they were told, no, this one we are trying on newly diagnosed before the memory has progressed. So even the newer treatments are on trial. And so far, we don't have any which we can say it's effective. This one will stop it.
Okay.
Yes.
So what therapies do you use? I mean, we'll talk about care in just a minute, but if you're looking at, medicine or therapies, psychiatric therapy, do you use something like that to manage the condition?
Okay, so there are two groups. Yes, there's the family and there's the patient. So, because the person gets to know the reality that in 10 years, I may not be able to recognize my children, they could get depressed. At the time they start losing things because they misplaced them, they could start blaming the people they're living with. Then there's conflict. Because if you're living with someone, you have not taken their things and they keep accusing you and you don't understand what is happening. There are cases where people have been attacked by their workers because you keep accusing them.
Yeah.
And they think, so you think I'm so poor, I'm stealing from you. So, because they do not understand, the society doesn't understand. So I think it's very key if you see your own close person forgetting, to have them assessed and make sure everybody living with them understands. You shouldn't argue with them. So if they tell you, I remember you, don't argue with them, don't ask them to prove. Just accept it. If the next minute they ask you who you are, just introduce yourself.
Again.
Yes, don't argue with them. Okay. Don't tell them you've already told me this story. Don't repeat this. You already told me you know me. Why are you asking who I am again? So work with them. Be patient with them. So the therapy depends on what we are seeing. Okay. So some get agitated, they get frustrated. And you see now with the cases of even property. So you know that in the next 1 year, you may not be able to manage your accounts, your PINs. So you have to delegate this to someone else. And sometimes some people are not honest. So that can cause agitation. Or you really feel like I really have to depend on someone to do my accounts, manage my finances, manage my property. It can make you feel really bad when you're very independent and you thought you had planned your retirement life. So if there's depression, we treat depression. If it needs medication, we put medication. If it needs therapy, you do therapy. Like prepare the person, yes, this is the reality, but none of us gets to know how we'll exit. So we have to accept different people. It's like when you're told you have cancer, you still have to be prepared to accept. So you prepare the person to accept the diagnosis. As time goes on, it will not bother them, but it will bother the family. But I think the family is usually the worst hit, because they can't believe this man who was my father, very strong, very on top of things. I have to manage them, even remind them to eat, choose them which clothes to wear, make sure they shower, make sure they dress, the shirt is not worn inside out. So the family has to come to terms with us, and they have to learn to know that in future they have to be there full-time, or even have to have full-time carers who they need to be sure they are not abusing the person, because sometimes you can have the carers abusing the person.
Yeah. So what did you do at the time that made it more comfortable in those spaces and that worked?
That worked.
Yes.
As I'd mentioned, not agitating them, because I think the big thing is agitation, and then having a plan for them. Don't just because they are at home. Plan. Have a program for them. Like this time we'll have breakfast. In lunchtime, maybe this time we'll go for a walk, and then this time we come back, we'll take a snack. Have a plan for them, because just don't operate ad hoc. This is time for nap, just like the way you plan for, I don't want to call them, that's a wrong term, babies, the way you plan to care for your baby, to care for your baby. This, though I don't want to use that word baby on them, because they're adults. So have a plan for them. And then music therapy does work well for them. It soothes them well. Put them their music. If they were in the 70s, put on. If they were during the time, maybe in the 70s, dance. Distract them with the dance. Or if they loved praise and worship, put that. If they loved hymns, put that. Do lots of walks, because it works. It works well for in the evening when they start saying they want to go home. They are restless. And just love them. Just love and massage. If you're the daughter or the people, even you, if you've engaged, then the paid caregivers, massage, hold their hands, because there's a time they feel like they're falling or something. Notice any movement in themselves. Then things like TV, because those that distracts them, TV in their spaces, because they think that's the reality. If you're watching the National Geographic on TV, it becomes a reality to them. The lions are in the house, or the snakes. Those ones you cancel. If there are mirrors in the house, when they look at a mirror, they don't see themselves, they see an old woman, or they see somebody else, not them. And when they find themselves arguing in the mirror, and they say, that woman who is always in this house, I don't like her. I don't like the way they look. The woman looks different, because she's maybe in her dira, in her casual. And maybe this is a lady who was a teacher, well dressed up, and she's seen an old woman, and that's her.
So we talk about caregivers, and more, I'm looking at a situation where say you are a career woman and it's your parent, and you have to bring someone to look after your mom. Now, how do you go about it, and how do you train these caregiver? If you're not able to get the professional ones, how do you train the caregiver who's there to know what to do, to always be updated on the changes that are there, and that you equally in synergy? Because most of the time you would assume that the caregiver knows, and you come back and there was war in the house because they could not understand each other. So how then do you go about it?
Yes. Now, you normally use informal caregivers, somebody who was maybe a house manager in your home, or in their home, the one who cared for them, the one who's familiar in their home. One thing we encourage you, if your mom is or your loved one is in the village, and you're in the city, do not bring them to your space, because first of all, you will be more overwhelmed by the behavior that they bring in the house. Having the incontinence is one of the biggest thing. So they'll end up not being they will do their work, their business in the sitting room or whatever, and that will not be very good for your children. So we always encourage people to keep them at home in their reality. The smells, they wake up to the cows, they wake up to the chickens running around, all that is important for them. So if you're using and then you have a caregiver who is informal, put a program for them so that they can follow. That this time mom needs to go for a walk, this time dad needs to go for a walk. And of course the people in the homestead, they kind of are in sync. But those in Nairobi in the city and you're staying with them, put all these things in place, like the program, a plan for them works. It also spares your agitation and your frustration in care. It also helps you in in just being organized, because you are disorganized and your person is struggling. It didn't make a good, didn't work well.
So that's interesting, Dr. Musia, because lots of people, from what we've seen, even from testimony, that may have don't have an opportunity for all-round, care with a caregiver, and a lot of people end up alone. People who may have early onset dementia or even full-blown dementia are left by themselves. They may be fed. Is that? It sounds horrible to say, but is that counterproductive, or are they then, because with memory loss, is there degeneration then of brain function and brain thinking along the line? And so the thought that they're on their last days, on their final days, so let them just be. Is that a way to handle this?
No. One, I want to emphasize that it's best for that person to be in the environment they understand.
Okay.
So if they are in their own house, they know where the toilet is, they know where the neighbors are. Although with time, they will also forget their toilet and their bathroom. But it's good to stay in the familiar environment. And of course, when you have people engaging you, you learn more. So like in this time of technology, remember during COVID, countries like UK would send volunteers to go and teach the elderly how to get into Zoom, how to video chat. That makes them learn new things. So I think that's why in the West, if they are not available, then they end up preferring to take you to a home where you can be with other people who you could share like similarities but in our setup we have one that support care is affordable. That you can afford to have someone take care of the person, unlike in the West. And two, we are still a community.
Yes.
So your neighbor, even if it's here in Nairobi, your neighbor would definitely care about you. If they find you lost, they will take you back home. Unlike in the West, where nobody minds anyone's business. The other thing I found in our setup is getting somebody who speaks their first language. Because that is the last to go. So as you look for a carer, consider all those things, age also, and if there's someone already they liked. If you can employ a relative they were already familiar with, the better. Although sometimes they will lose things and tell you to go away. I don't want you here, you have been stealing my things. I can take care of myself, you go away. So some people will end up, they chase the helper. Then the helper has to be prepared, this will happen. It's not personal, it's just that they're forgetting. They are getting frustrated. Yes, so basically they need people to stimulate them. And that's why we say all of us, like those of us who are over 50, you have to keep learning new things, new technology, use your mind a lot. The board games, engage with the young people. I'm happy that, yes, we know social media is bad, but when I see 60-year-olds trying to learn, trying to learn how to go to Twitter, to X, how to go to TikTok, how to go to Instagram, they are learning something new. As long as they don't overstay there, it's better than somebody who decides, Mimi kamwisi is enough. Because when you have a smartphone, you also learn. So everybody should keep learning new things. Because one thing with dementia, it is advanced age. Because even if we look at hypertension and lifestyle diseases, they begin at 40, most of them on average. So it means that then we can't start talking of dementia. We have childhood dementia, which is undiagnosed most of the time, but majority of it is after 40. After 40 is early, 50s is early, but we are seeing early now, early dementia. Lifestyle diseases are contributing to that. So we also need to make sure that our lifestyles are healthy, exercise, eat healthy, manage weight. Yes, so basically that.
So there is the aspect of dementia being a disease, an illness. One would then look at provisions, say, government access to healthcare, access to services, and where would you rate that? And I would also throw that to you at the time when you were taking care of mom, and even now as you take care of dad. How is it in terms of getting assistance from hospitals in the country? How easy is it? How heavy is the burden?
Yes, now that is a very big problem in this country, because first of all, like I have a case when COVID was there, and a loved one of a friend was in hospital with COVID, and you remember the isolation, and she couldn't understand what was going on. And then the healthcare facility in this government office facilities were not understanding what's going on with this lady. She's just difficult, and she couldn't keep her masks on. She couldn't keep her, what were those things they were wearing? PPEs on. She couldn't because of her change of her state of dementia, and it was so difficult for they were saying she's sumbua, she's disturbing, and they ended up sending her home. In fact, they loved and just said, even if this COVID gets us, we might as well just continue. That shows how limiting that the health system does is not there for people living in dementia. And when you go, like I remember we had admitted our dad in hospital, and you have to have the caregiver spend the night with him, because he needs to have somebody who understands, who will, when he wakes up, return him back to his bed, etc. So they still need, I don't know if Daktari, you'll say, I don't know how much of dementia the syllabus is catered for in the nursing curriculum, the doctor's curriculum, even the first one, because it looks like it's very little. It's very, very little. So when we have people struggling with dementia, there's no information for care for this person.
You're very right. And if I may look at, for example, psychiatry, I'm a psychiatrist, old age psychiatry. Africa is majority young people. So people have not provided for the old age, yet now people are living longer. So you find that even right now is when we are embracing old age psychiatry. In the West, their population is older, so they have built up systems for care of the old people, and you will not find them like the way you would find a children's ward. You will not find a ward which is modified to accommodate the elderly. One, because our population is generally young, and this is something we are learning. So there's a lot of gap in it, and this is a wake-up call. Of course, general healthcare is not well covered. It is worse when a population is totally ignored, and so the care is left to the family members. We've also seen caregivers who just want this person to be put on sleeping drugs so that they don't disturb them. So you really, the ideal would be have services for the young, for the middle-aged, and for the old. Because, in an elderly ward, you'd expect a ramp, you'd expect a wheelchair, you'd expect space for them to walk around, roam about, you'd expect enough occupational therapy. People playing games with them, engaging them, talking to them differently. In fact, I would think now an old people's ward should look like more of a children's ward because they might want to play as much as kids would play and learn new things the way kids do, because they end up forgetting how to eat, they end up forgetting how to be incontinent, they end up forgetting how to take the activities of daily living. So they become like kids. So you should have a ward or systems to take care of the elderly as well as for take care of the children, but it's a big gap in all trainings because we were used to a young population. Yes.
Is it possible for younger people to have an onset of dementia?
Yes, there's childhood dementia, which is rare. Diagnosed in childhood, which is rare, and many of them don't live until they are old. But most of it is from midlife. Because I've said, depending on the cause, of course, accidents and cancers can affect children and can cause dementia, and systemic diseases like lupus can affect young people. But majority of it is from 40 years, because vascular diseases will get severe after 40. Alzheimer's, the earliest will be in 50s. So it's usually majority are older.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And is it hereditary?
Yes, there is a genetic predisposition. You tend to have several family members having it. But you see, again, our life expectancy is changing. So if your grandfather died in their 50s, maybe they would have had dementia, but they didn't live until 60. So you will find maybe your own father develops dementia at 70. And you say, we've never seen this disease. But none of the relatives lived up to 70. So there's genetic predisposition, especially for Alzheimer's. Yes.
So if it's hereditary, and now that we have the information, how does one go about it? Because does one now say, I'm waiting for it to come? Is there a way for me to go around it, take care of myself? How do I go about it?
Oh, you can't tell who will get it. It's not 100% that if my father had dementia, I'll get it. Or you can't tell who will get it. But there are general things which all of us need to do. Lifestyle changes. Eat healthy. Make sure your weight is within normal, not obese, not overweight. Make sure if you are diagnosed to have hypertension or diabetes is controlled. It's very sad that many people say, I will not take antihypertensives. I know when my blood pressure goes high, I will get a headache. That is not true. By the time you get a headache because your blood pressure is high, then you're getting a stroke and it's too late. So if you are diagnosed to have hypertension or diabetes, please take your medication, go for your reviews, unless the doctor says stop or reduce the medication. Don't say, I can tell when my blood sugar is increased. So because that is what happens, that somebody keeps saying they can tell when their blood pressure is high until they get a stroke or they get diabetes complications. So lifestyle diseases, exercise, eat well, stimulate your brain. Most of the time, we exercise our bodies and forget to exercise our brains. When they say when you are retiring, it's encouraged you go back to school. It helps your mind. You might not be doing it for money, but it stimulates your mind. Teaching and mentoring might not be benefiting. You might not need the money, or you might have had enough retirement plan, but when you interact with young people, they teach you things which you will not learn. So we need to take care of our physical health as well as our mental health. Yes.
Monica, so here's...
I was going to add a bit on the research that is going on. In an institution in Kenya, the shown loneliness is one of the biggest, together with hypertension. So if you find, and that's caused by depression, I don't know, maybe when you reach menopausal for women, and I don't know for men when they end up retiring. So depression, when sets in, you isolate yourself. So isolation is one of the biggest things. People need to be with their parents or their loved ones all the time. They need to, if you need to visit don't leave your home. If they're in the village, you must visit. Make sure there's somebody visit them, engage them. And as we grow older, we need to keep into our companies. Your old schoolmate, thank God this WhatsApp, we look for each other from primary. We are all in these WhatsApp groups. Keep them going. If there's chamas, don't fail. And if your chama member, this member keeps missing 3-4 times, go to them and say what's going on. Church is another area where if you or a church or religious institution, make sure the person, somebody who is maybe feeling isolated, if they are missed, go pick them. Go find out what's going on. We have not seen you. And if you see they dilly-dally, you try and use ways. If maybe it's incontinence that is giving them problem, introduce them to different kind of ways of managing the incontinence, like pull up diapers, so they don't feel, okay, once in a while I'm in church and I can't get to the toilet, so I keep away.
Is it an expensive affair, the care management?
Oh, it is an expensive affair. It's an expensive affair. Remember, you have to have somebody, that's why it's a family disease. You have to have somebody to employ to take care of this person. And like this other diabetes, where you just take medicine and hypertension or mental health, This one, you have to have somebody with you throughout, maybe most of the time, especially when the disease progresses. And then the expenses like healthy diets, because that is one of the things. If you're managing diabetes with healthy meals, it's hypertensive. What is good for the brain is good for what is good for the heart is good for the brain. And what else do you need? Pampers, because incontinence becomes a problem when they cannot be able to go to the bathroom.
For someone who's listening to you and perhaps they don't know, what is going on, what would be your message? You're someone who's just feeling down, scared, choker. What would be your advice to them, and even for the patients that
the caregiver? It's not the end of the. It's not the end of the world. Listen to those old stories. You never knew your loved one. They even sent up telling you your boyfriend that they had. Listen to the stories that you missed. Their friends in school. Do not be patient with them and sit in, make time for them, because it's a long. And we say dementia is not a split. It's a marathon. It's a long run. It may take between 10 to 15 years with this loved one. So we say, enjoy them, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey with them.
And before we lose the point of loneliness, if I might just emphasize on that, that once you begin your 50s, you also need to start planning. When I exit from, if you are formally employed, what is it that I'll be doing? Because, like in Japan, people work, and once you find what you enjoy, then it gives you a purpose to live. It stimulates your mind. So don't just retire and sit at home. And don't retire and start the plan then. You need to have planned how to engage your mind. And that's what I'm saying. Even if it means going back to school, it might not be a degree or a master's. It could be a diploma or a skill.
Something to keep your mind.
I think people on internet have discovered there are these adverts of AI classes for over 40. So I think they have discovered that over 40 years you need some of this. Learn something, even if it's online, to stimulate your mind. And it's very important that you don't stay alone and you don't isolate yourself. Work provides. You see, you came here, you chatted. Work provides that environment. People retire and they wait for their phones to be called and no one is calling.
That's true.
So you need to plan because then these diseases come at that time, and it actually accelerates the speed. So it is a two-way, that visit your loved ones and engage them, but they also, everyone, and I'm in that age group, you need to start planning. How do I exit? Do I have a business I'm going to? How will I be making sure I'm mentally engaged? In addition, you can't exercise the whole day. I see people saying, I'll go and play golf. You can't play golf throughout
the day, right?
Yes, it's good, but you need something to also stimulate your mind. Yes.
It's been a conversation on Healthy Friday about dementia, onset, care, management, treatment, and all of that. Something that sometimes we don't talk about because it to an extent sometimes makes us uncomfortable, but necessary for us to do. And we want to thank you both for being here. Dr. Catherine Siango Mutisia, psychiatrist, as well as Monica Kenyanjui, who's a caregiver and founder of Women for Dementia Africa. Thank you for being here this morning with us and for closing out the show for us today as we get into the weekend. Thank you for being part of Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room, through this weekend. We're going into the last week of September, next one. Thanks a lot, and let's keep the conversations going. Good morning.
This is The Situation.